Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this Thursday morning webinar series. I'm Chloe Tetro, the health coach here with Ready Care. And you'll have to excuse my voice. I'm a little bit sick this morning, but for today's session, we're going to chat about something that is very close to my heart and that I will try my best to stay on topic and not get impassioned by, because I will have I'll have us going the scenic route to the point. So essentially what we're going to chat about this morning is weighing scales, redefining our relationship with weighing scales and our relationship to weight loss as conditioned by weighing scales and these types of metrics. I'll have a little bit of a look at that. I'll have a look at why that's not a fantastic metric, and both from a kind of hard data evidence and from a psychological perspective. And just open up the conversation a little bit. Really, this could be a series of webinars, but due to the time factor, I'll just go with it. And if needs be, I can revisit this to chat about some aspects in greater detail down the road at some point. So if you've ever been on a scale, seen a number and felt a massive redefinition of your entire progress based on that, this is what we're talking about. So many of us have been taught to view weight and appearance as the main marker of our health. So what we look at here is challenging that idea, where weight alone is exceedingly limited and actually sometimes extremely misleading, which is something I come across time and time again working with clients. It's a misleading measure of your well-being. And when you're focusing solely on that, it can actually really interfere with your long-term progress. So we'll have a look at things like energy levels, confidence, long-term wellness, and how these are a lot more meaningful and more motivating indicators. And I can say that hand on my heart, having worked with people over the last 4 years, into the thousands now at this point. And when you're shifting your focus to these kind of quote unquote soft markers instead of hard data, you can find a much more sustainable path to your health, and why that's important we'll touch on now. So I'm not dismissing weight altogether, and I want to say that from the get-go. I'm not dismissing that it's important. I'm not dismissing that it's something that individuals that choose to lose weight should be supported. Individuals that maybe have unhealthy weight gain that's affecting their blood markers, their blood sugars, they're going into diabetes, pre-diabetes, or just finding their energy is absolutely shot, that their inflammation is up. This is a different conversation than just somebody who finds themselves quite healthy and is happy with their weight. I just want to put that out there before I begin. So the weight alone isn't telling you the story of your health, which is why I mentioned some people can have extremely healthy blood work and, not be a size 8, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So number on the scale, something to remember is it's a blunt tool, right? It's like trying to dig a hole with a hammer. You'll get there eventually, but it's not really the most accurate and precise tool for that. Two people can weigh exactly the same and have very different body compositions. So one can be athletic, have a good bit of muscle, while another might have less muscle, more body fat, still be in a healthy range, while somebody else can have adequate muscle, but a lot more fat that is maybe visceral fat, and they can be quite unhealthy. You may not know just by looking at somebody. The scale weight is identical in these 3 cases, but their health profiles are absolutely not identical. Where your body carries weight matters. So weight around the waist and the hips, for example, and a simple weight or a BMI measurement does not capture any of that information. And even people in the medical profession, they know that BMI it's like a guesswork. It's like saying, oh, it's roughly a mile up the road. It might be roughly a mile up the road, but that is not an accurate measure. So if somebody's quite stocky and works out, their BMI can be quite high. It is not a be all and end all. So if you have a scale that tells you overall weight and BMI, still it's not going to give you an accurate representation. So it's an association with, but it's not a direct measure of body fat, your BMI. And it doesn't account for fat distribution and other health factors around the body. So if you've ever felt that you're feeling healthier, more energy, you've been trying this low carb malarkey and you're feeling good, but your clothes might be fitting better, all of these different things in your life, including your digestion, your inflammation, are getting better, but the scale weight is not particularly moving, and you say, jeepers, what's the point in any of this? What's her name down the road is doing a crash diet and she's lost loads of weight, even though she looks like she's been resuscitated from the dead. So the scale is just one data point, and without context like muscle mass or fat distribution, it can be incredibly misleading and incredibly demotivating for people. I work with people that are absolutely throwing themselves into getting their health markers back on board, and they have fluctuations and a bad day, quote unquote, a bad day on a scale, and all of a sudden they're so thrown. Their whole motivation, their whole love for what they're doing, how proud they felt about themselves is totally shattered down to a number on a plastic piece of crap. So that is where this is coming from. So the pitfalls of a scale focused mindset is that, ironically, focusing on that backfires immensely when it comes to health. Immensely. Now, for individuals that start and they're incredibly large when they begin, they will get motivated by the weight coming off, by the scale alone. Fair enough, right? Particularly when somebody's quite large and they're not used to seeing the weight come off. When somebody's weight begins to be in what would be a kind of quote unquote normal range for their body type, their build, their muscle mass, etc., they will see that slow down. They will see that sometimes stall altogether. They will see no change on a scale. Or if you're working out at the same time and building muscle, doesn't matter what weight you are, you might not see these numbers fall. Now, there's an absolute cultural obsession with, I need to lose 3 stone, or I need to lose this, I need to lose that, instead of, I want to feel healthier, I want to feel better, I want to feel more confidence, I want to feel more energy, I want to play with my kids without being out of breath. Now, that sounds soft, but why I'm saying that in that way is these are all actual things that you want, right? You want the effects that losing weight will give you. You want the finished product of what these things will give you. And when you say in your heart of hearts, do I want to lose 3 stone? Okay, why? Why do I want to lose 3 stone? I want to feel better about myself. I want to have more self-confidence, more self-esteem. I want to walk into any room and say, you know what? I've worked so hard. I'm so proud of myself. These are all very different end products than just a number on the scale. So if you're constantly judging yourself by your weight, you will do incredible damage to your mental health and your body image. All the research is out there. All of it will show you. I'm speaking from first-hand experience with clients here, and in the impassioned way that I am, because I know I'm right. That just focusing on that alone really gets rid of what was the point of any of this. And if you've ever found yourself, and this is another incredibly common thing for people who only focus on a weight as opposed to the outcome of the weight, when people reach their goal target weight and all of a sudden they have nothing else to do and weight will creep back up and they'll say, oh jeepers, here I am again putting all the weight back, what's wrong with me? And they start to berate themselves. If the end goal was only ever a number on a scale, it does not matter how you feel. For people that have done, crash diets, extreme calorie restriction, and felt like absolute rubbish chasing a number, it is not only unsustainable, but it is actively damaging to how you view healthy behaviors. When healthy behaviors go hand in hand with shame, punishment, torture, which is I'm going to starve myself and force myself to do the absolute Now I need to calm down a bit now because I'll end up swearing. Absolute rubbish that's peddled out there of this eat less, move more crap. What you get in real life when the conversation isn't based around habits, behaviors, lifestyles, hormones, metabolism, everyone that I work with, everybody. We work on a metabolic, hormonal system, and that's when people see, you know, results in the direction of the healthy archetype they want to move towards. It is not by saying to somebody, well, you need to outrun the amount of food that you ate today. Like, zoom out, that's insane. You know, the average adult needs at least 2,000 calories and plus for their system to run adequately. You know, having adult, particularly women, having adult women and sometimes men go, oh, I'm going to have 800 calories and work out for 2 hours is bonkers. Your system is just not going to be able to sustain that. I'll calm down again and come back into the room. So if we're constantly judging ourselves by our weight, it is going to impact our mental health. If you're feeling defined by a number, it will lead to shame, it will lead to stress, not self-improvement. Research shows that weight stigma, so being treated differently or judging yourself because of your weight, can trigger incredible stress hormones. Of course it does. And unhealthy coping mechanisms like either deciding this makes me feel bad, I'm not going to go anywhere near it, because as soon as I foray into, you know, the health sphere, all I feel is shame, blame, all I feel is not good enough. And it makes that association with health equals feeling all these things. Or people go the opposite and they absolutely berate themselves into an absolute state that worsens your health, that gets you on that carousel of, you know, up and down, yo-yo dieting, binge eating, feeling bad about yourself, all of these different fluctuations. And it absolutely contributes to disorganized eating, weight gain, weight loss, and that cycle. So one study found that people who experience weight discrimination actually have a 60% higher risk of death around that stigma. Now, be it the knock-on effect of not being able to get off that carousel because they take on the identity of what public health shaming does to people, which is it must be your fault if our guidelines don't work. And I say this to all clients, and I know Andrew says it as well. If 70% of people within a system that promotes quote unquote healthy eating guidelines, if 70% of people cannot lose weight, cannot get their metabolic system in a healthy position that makes them feel energetic with good blood markers, that makes them feel proud of themselves, that makes it easier to exercise, not have diabetes, not have heart disease, not have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, blood pressure, etc. All of the conditions associated with metabolic disease are on the up, right? They're not on the down, they're on the up. And that is looking at these quote unquote healthy eating guidelines. If in any other sphere, if there were, you know, these are the guidelines, but 70% of people are not getting there, I would say maybe it's the guidelines. Maybe something's wrong with the system that we're telling people to abide by. Most people I chat to that have type 2, that have particularly non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, difficulty losing weight, are not the archetype that these policies would have you believe that they are, which is this person that does absolutely nothing, sits all day on the couch, eating thousands and thousands of calories. They're not. They're average people that are consumers, that are told, I need to get more whole grains, I should eat more fruit, treat yourself one week, how dare you the other. They're people stuck on that commercial loop of, well, if it's not working for you, you're the problem. And there's something deeply sick about all of that, which is why I'm getting angry about it, because I speak to real life people constantly that are in such difficult physiological, medical, and psychological headspaces from this messaging. Now, remember, the shame-based culture doesn't arise by accident. It's a very powerful financial machine, which, you know, in the advent of advertising, which was brought about by Bernays, who was Freud's nephew, had a very good insight on how do you push somebody's buttons. They figured out very quickly in the 70s that actually, if you push people on emotions, they buy a lot more. You know, you look at the beauty industry, you look at the weight loss industry, you look at all of these industries that tell you you're not good enough, and you know you're not good enough. That's why you feel ashamed. You know that you're not good enough. But guess what? This product is actually going to fix that. It's funny how that works. And things that promise get you out of this terrible mental health state, they will always be trying to sell you something, always, and the magazines and advertising to vulnerable people that will prey on their pain and their shame and all of these different things while perpetrating it. Anyway, whatever word that is. So there's nothing to sell you in stop eating certain foods that mess up your hormones. There's nothing to sell you in that. In fact, there's a loss in it. There's nothing to sell you, and you don't need more pills. You don't need more products. You don't need more supplements. You don't need more medication for it. There's nothing to sell somebody with don't have the thing that makes you sick, right? That's as simple as it is oftentimes, which is an incredibly unfortunate statement, but that's the reality that we live in. When metabolic health is ameliorated tenfold, when people can, get their HbA1c, which is the number that tells you whether you have diabetes or not, when they can get that right back into normal range without buying products, when they can just do that by not eating the thing that makes them sick, there's nothing to gain from that financially, but there's a huge societal thing to gain from that. Now, I need to come back to earth a little bit because I'm getting angry. So the system is the thing that's not working. The weight cycling is preying on you, blaming yourself perpetually. There is nothing to sell you in not eating the foods that are hormonally pushing you in a direction that you feel you're finding it hard to lose weight, etc., etc. Right, I'm reiterating here, but basically, if you were to just say, all I want to do is lose a stone, it doesn't matter how I feel, it doesn't matter what my health markers are, it doesn't matter how my energy is, you could chop off your leg. If that's all you want is you want the number to move, you can chop off your leg. You can, cut off all your hair, never wear any clothes, chain yourself to a wall and never eat again. Now, that is the level of brutality that an awful lot of the cultural obsession with a weight number forces people's mindsets to go into. And I'm saying it in a fairly shocking way, but it's the reality of it. Where big breath, where health markers start to shift is when you think about the real outcome. What is the outcome here? What do I actually want? What matters to me in my life? Why am I fixated with this? You do have a right to have more energy. You do have a right to feel healthy. You do have a right to not be in a category with your health markers that predispose you to cardiovascular disease, which is the greatest killer out there. You have a right to regain control over the stories told about yourself. You have a right to regain control over how you talk about yourself, how you allow other people in your life to talk about yourself. And you have a right to feel good in your own skin. You have a right to feel proud about your body. You have had the same body since you're born. It has carried you through your entire life. It has been there with you through the highs and the really, really awful lows, and you've always had a home in it. And you have a right to feel good in that body. Where I see the huge shift in people is those soft markers. It's the, how's my mood been today? How has the cadence of my walk been today? I've more pep in my step today. Oh, I didn't notice that. That's great. I haven't had an afternoon slump. I have a more sustained energy where it's not up and down all day. I actually feel good. I wake up and I feel good. That is such a common thing that I hear from people. I feel in control. I feel proud of myself. That is my favorite one. I feel proud of myself. My health markers are getting better. And whatever any doctor might say, whatever any concerned mother-in-law might say under her breath at a table, all of that aside, I feel proud of myself and I can tell I feel healthier. I ask people often, how do you know you feel healthy? They say, I want to feel healthier. And I say, how do you know you'll feel healthy? And no one ever says, I'll be a stone lighter. They don't say that. They say things like, oh, I'll be able to play with the kids without saying, I need to make up an excuse because actually I can't keep up. They'll say things like, I'll feel bouncy, happy, be eating good food, enjoy my hobbies. I'll feel the freedom that goes along with knowing that I can go for a walk. I love nature. I haven't been able to be out in nature for ages. They can do these things. And that is the picture and the sum of your life, right? All of those experiences that I listed, they are your day-to-day experience that bring you fulfillment, they bring you happiness, and they change the course of your day-to-day experience. They are the stuff that really, really matters. And people call them non-scale victories and all these different things, but the weight that you carry that you do not want to carry, you have all of the tools to not carry without anybody making you feel like you are wrong, lazy, shameful, all of these different things. Just dial the noise down on those people. Who are they? They're totally meaningless. There is nothing to buy. There is nothing at all to do apart from eating foods that will make you metabolically healthy. If you're finding that difficult, if there's other things happening, if there's other things in your life that have nothing to do with food, that are stressful situations, that, there might be unresolved things that you carry every single day that make you feel bad, right? Again, these are not shameful failings on your part. The second aspect is being able to talk without judgment to somebody that will listen. And an awful lot of people will be comfort eaters. And I think it's not right either to just totally disregard that as if it doesn't exist, because that does exist. And the problem then isn't, big portions. Oh, I need to mind my portion size, or I'm constantly eating bad foods. It's what's happening. If it's a hunger thing, if you're genuinely hungry, it's hormones. It's your insulin playing with your hunger hormones, your satiation hormones. It's an exceedingly common side effects of high insulin from high carbohydrate foods, making up a huge ratio of your day-to-day, because that is part of the guidelines. But grains, high fruit, anything converting to sugar will mess with your hunger hormones and your satiation hormones. If it's different, if it's to do with how you feel, if you feel bad, it is pointless and damaging to listen to the rubbish that's out there to sell you this program, this what, for a fee, of course, for a fee, when all that's needed is a look at, okay, well, what's making me feel bad? If I've been carrying this thing my whole life, what's making me feel bad? And, going to chat to somebody about that, taking that time for yourself, will have a much bigger impact than pouring money at supplements and, boot camp this and that and whatever. Compassionate approaches to health is the most crucial element ever for sustainability. Right, I think I've gone on maybe enough with this. So moving beyond the scale doesn't mean ignoring your health. It means embracing a fuller picture of it. Weight is one metric and it doesn't define you at all, at all. And if anybody tries to say different, I was going to say slap him, but maybe don't do that. That'd be inciting violence. I could have the video taken down off YouTube. Just who are they? They're pointless people. True health is about how you feel, how you function. Are your joints able to move without inflammation? Are you able to dance? Are you able to go for a walk by the seaside because you love going for a walk by the seaside with your dog and you don't want to be holding up the show because your joints are aching? That's a whole different thing. And it's all about the sustainable habits that you build. So next time you find yourself thinking about the number on the scale, please think of this insane woman dressed like Peg Sayers this morning, and consider, are there other ways to measure this? Are there other ways to measure this? And the other thing about the scale, which I'll finish up on now because I'm going over time as per usual, is it will give you your overall weight. It won't tell you, unless you have one of those scales, it won't tell you about your fat percentage, your muscle mass, your visceral fat, your this, your that, your whatever, unless you have one of those scales. You could be changing the ratio of your fat to muscle and it will show absolutely no change on the scale. Nothing. And big things are happening inside. Your energy is a far greater predicator. Your appetite, it feeling normal, that you're not hungry all the time. If you're hungry all the time, that to me is a signaler that your hunger hormones are all over the place or you're just simply not eating enough. Simple things sometimes are the answer. Your digestion, is it normal to constantly be bloated? No, it's not. Are there foods that are potentially causing that? It's going to be different for everybody. Start to jot down specific foods that are giving you a reaction. Feeling sleepy after food is another thing, that maybe the foods that you're having there are foods that are aggregating your system. So what I've seen over and over in the last 4 years, what we see across surgeries in the UK, what we see in Ireland, is bringing down your ratio of carbohydrate foods, grains, porridge included, whole grains included, cereals included, quinoa, buckwheat, whatever wonder food is the one to buy now. Getting those right down, bread, potatoes, same thing, getting those right down, get your protein levels up. Any vegetable above the ground, absolutely flying it. Berries, melons, plums, happy days, dairy products, happy days, eggs, meats, all good, all gravy. They're all absolutely fine to have. The only thing to watch is get your carbohydrates a little bit lower. Try it out for a week. If I'm wrong, I admit defeat, but low carbohydrate diets outperform low fat and calorie counting diets by a mile, and people feel good, they feel in control, they feel happy, they don't feel starving all the time. Try it out. I need to stop now because I've really gone off on one today. If you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, please do pop them into the comment section. Always like to hear from people. Apologies now, it's quite heated in today's session, but hopefully you can see why. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your week, and we'll chat to you next time. Bye now.